one last question, and which is where I see a lot of founders, a lot of Indian founders are very curious about best practices for US go to market. And of course, you are running an accelerator and you have a bunch of very early stage AI companies. I'm sure like a few of them are a little bit further along as well. What are you seeing in terms of some interesting things that the Upekkha AI portfolio companies are doing today, where they're still India based, but they're actually getting traction in the US? They're actually able to drive progress in the US market.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer to this. I can actually only do a couple of observations on this because one of the things that I think from an India US founder advantage perspective is like the whole India US is about how do you shift your front office versus back office. The whole India US corridor has been there for 30, 40 years now, starting with the Infosys and then the IT moving services. And very recently, since 2011 onwards, or maybe 7 onwards, the whole India-US corridor emerged for from SaaS perspective. See, before that, it was all back office. India was like the back office of the world. Like what SaaS did was it said you can even have front office. Like Zoho and Freshworks actually said that we can put salespeople, marketing people, we can put the management teams in India, and then we can still build large businesses. And every SaaS company to me from India is actually a good instantiation of how are you splitting the back office and the front office between the geographies. And that is where the advantage that is coming. It's not that it is a cost-effective R&D center. That was like long ago conversation. The conversation for SaaS has been in your LDR, SDR, AE. You're like the guy who's generating the lead, the guy who's actually nurturing the lead, and the guy who's actually closing the deal, right? And the steps before that. How are you actually bringing him into your website or to your sales team's conversation? That marketing plus LDR, SDR, AE, what is the split of that, right? That is where each of the SaaS companies from India are very unique. And wherever people just try to follow templates, it doesn't work, right? A Whatfix template doesn't follow the Freshworks template, and Freshworks template works for Freshworks, Whatfix for Whatfix, and each of them are finding their own template. Now, what I would say is that for me also, my experience when these companies are getting to maybe 0 to 1 and maybe 1 to 10. So I have very less visibility on what's working beyond 10. Now, with respect to AI, I'm not seeing like a whole lot of difference. The only small differences that I'm seeing is the use of influencers. And if you actually think about just the general go-to-market of how companies are getting tractions just in SF, right? So they are all very influencer driven. There is this company which was like Devin, but nobody knows. And that founder had launched 6 months before Devin launched. And then when Devin launched, it had 100,000 followers. And then it was the talk of the town. And this founder was like cribbing on Twitter saying, I have the same product. And why is that Devin has so much of traction? Because Devin actually pulled off the go-to-market really in a brilliant kind of a way because it connected with all the relevant influencers, Gary Tan, Elart Gill, everybody else who matter in the AI space. And then when they say, hey, this is cool, then all the AI influencers, there are like maybe 500 to 1,000 or maybe 1,500 newsletters that are out there that are writing about AI. They all piled on it. Then there were Twitter threads and then there were LinkedIn videos and things like that. So suddenly like everybody came to know about what Devin is. So influencers is a very key channel that people are using to spread the word around. Now, whether it is B2C or B2B. See, today in B2B, most of like the CIO purchase happens because either you're featured in Gartner or Forrester. But the space of AI is moving so fast that in 6 months, it is 10x further ahead than what it was before. So by the time a Gartner or a Forrester could actually make a recommendation, the space has moved. So Gartners and Forresters are today not the influencer in the AI space. Someday they will be. But today, all these enterprises are also saying, okay, let me go talk to the most techie person who understands this space and ask him, what should we try? Again, it goes back to that techie influencer. So what I'm seeing from an Upekkha perspective is they're also saying, looking at this and then saying, okay, how do I leverage some of these influencers? I don't think the influencer ecosystem is built out that well in India. And anyway, for those that are selling in the US, the influencers in India are going to be less relevant. So they are tapping into this influencer network and then figuring out how they can get the word about them, right? Some of them are even like running these newsletters as paid newsletters. So if you can get featured in these newsletters, and those are the things that are things that I'm seeing like getting experimented right now?
I think influencers, it's a key marketing channel, but I think this brings forth a gap that I've seen in sort of Indian startups, at least classically, where kind of Indian startups and Indian founders in general are good at sales, but they are weak at marketing. And I think, and I'm a believer now that we live in a marketing demand gen world. Every person who knows your brand, who comes in as a warm lead, is kind of worth their weight in gold. And I think this is where probably this is an area of potential growth that the Indian AI and software ecosystem needs to make sure that kind of their sort of Indian founders are really working on this to get better at this.
Yeah, there's one more thing that I'm getting reminded of, and this is again like a peculiar or a unique case, right? This is just not marketing, but this is an investment that many founders have done. So there are many founders within Upekkha, maybe very little in Upekkha, but more outside that I'm seeing is that these founders have spent maybe 3, maybe 4, 5 years getting to just about a certain limited level of traction, but they have done a great job of building their SEO channels, their content marketing channels, that they have cracked the distribution. But they are having products which are very commodity products, which is this might be like a marketing tool where there are like 15 other players that are there. But these folks, when they release a Gen AI product with that traction channel, that the distribution that they had, they are suddenly seeing 3x, 4x growth or more, right? And that I am seeing more examples of from India, where they have taken many years to actually build this channel. And now they spend the last 6 to 9 months building a new Gen AI relevant product, like, or put out a feature set. And then they are seeing, oh, there is a hockey stick growth. Now people will only measure their like last 12 months of growth. A lot of effort has gone into in the past, in that 3 or 4 years where they have built the distribution. So that is another thing that I am seeing is working out well for founders from India. Therefore, what I would say is that all those founders who have actually spent many years building the distribution channel, they should seriously think about building their Gen AI version or offering. They should not say, oh, this is just hype and I don't want to just fall into that hype again. If you have built a distribution already, then think about building a Gen AI offering.
And I think for founders, for first-time founders who are just about getting into the game or who are early in the game, I think look at Dharmesh of HubSpot. I think the amount of social that he does around ChatSpot and around whatever HubSpot is doing, if Dharmesh feels the need to do that much marketing for HubSpot, then you better get on social, get on Twitter, LinkedIn, build your following, build your newsletters, blog, go to events, put yourself out there.